It's real talk.
Not pork.
Despite all the stories of me telling you I'm a tough guy, really, I think, let me go back to the very start. I think I was born very fun, happy, funny, playful baby. But that's not the story of me as a child. The story of me as a child is shy, nerdy. I feel like I need another word in there. I know, but I'll come back to it. And it's a sad, and I feel like the start is a bit sad. So here's another word. Oh, country kid. So I grew up in the country, but I feel like it's really hard for me telling this origin story because it sounds really resenty and blamey. And just the more times I tell it, I just know that. So it's good. But I feel like the joy and the play was beaten out of me as a child. So I used to get hit a lot um, by my dad, and I'm just gonna use broad strokes here. I learnt, you know, I only wanted to be loved by my dad. I think, pretty sure, because some things like the weird stuff that I got up to, like going to jail and become a physicist, I think the need for that started early. I just wanted my dad to love me, and I remember him saying to me one time that he was proud of me because I'd solved some problems in a maths book. I must have been like 6, and I got a sticker. So I thought, like, if I'm a genius, like, my dad will love me. I also remember my dad used to just drink and get angry at the football and the news a lot. So I remember he would sit in the same couch watching TV, ignoring me, and but sometimes he would. I no, I'm not sometimes. One time, I remember him turning around and telling me a story about going traveling overseas and doing adventures. Now, looking back on it now, I thought that he was telling a story of him being an Indiana Jones type figure. But I think now that he was just a guy on holiday bragging to his son. No shade on that. But the impression I got that he was some kind of Indiana Jones. Um, but then that story lasted about 5 seconds before he went back to yelling at the TV. And I think, in a way, my dad really was Indiana Jones from TV because I spent more time admiring people like Indiana Jones and other tough guys and gangsters on TV than I did my dad. So I remember him telling me also that he loved physics. I found a physics book one day in his study, and I saw in his face how much he really admired physics and people who were smart and understood physics. Another thing I learned at a young age was he really loved money. My granddad was rich. He didn't earn it. He inherited it. So my granddad and my dad in turn, they had a lot of money that I remember. They always hoarded miserly like Scrooge the Duck, and it would tell me like, oh, one day all of this would be yours. And so there's 3 things I learned as a child. In high school, I feel like in school and high school, I was kind of shy, not tough, not funny, but I wanted to be, not cool, but I always wanted to be. And I remember I didn't have the luck I wanted with girls. So I remember, so this is a child here. I just wanted to be. I think I never felt okay because I never felt loved by my parents. And I thought if I could get the girls, in school to like me, would feel okay. But I couldn't get a girlfriend in high school. Didn't have sex in high school. And I was always really irritated by the dumb kids who couldn't fucking solve a quadratic equation and would just call out dumb shit in class and make the girls laugh. I thought that is not even fucking clever. You haven't earned any of this. Like, and just being so jealous of that. And I feel like I say feel like a lot. I'm just gonna try and stick straight to this story. It's hard. Anyway, so I was really nerdy, and I remember wasn't exactly a loser, but I was like, I would say honestly, probably below middle, and just feeling like I'm getting no respect for being good at math. Isn't being good at maths and science the way to get people to love you? Because that's what I learned when I was 6. Isn't it like, and my dad would always beat the playfulness out of us and the funny out of us. Like, stop calling dumb shit out in class and making the girls laugh. That's not fair. That's cheating. You haven't earned anything. You haven't worked for that. After high school, I went to university. I went to university in Perth, and I remember it clearly, filling all of my possessions I had into 1967 Toyota Corona and driving up to Perth. My nerdiness and my failure with to have success with women getting love and sex continued, and it really felt to me like the focus point. Like, I was really driven by two things: to be cool and to get hot chicks to like me. But I never had a lot of success. I got one girl. I got a girl to have sex with me. I think when I was 20. How old was I? 22, and then I got married at 23. I didn't know what I was doing. But I learned then. I found out then that give with access to sex. Sorry, this if this gets misogynistic, I'm just bearing my vulnerability out for you guys. With access to sex from a girl that I considered attractive enough, I applied all my energy into working hard and using my brain. And I started a business actually, and I became. This is hard to talk about because no one likes brags about being rich, making money. But this is actually vulnerable. It's not a brag. So getting married early but the age of 24, between in 6 years, I I went from zero, because my parents gave me nothing. I went from zero to $1 million by the age of 30. Now, $1 million is not big money these days, but I think we're talking about 15 years ago. That was like a hallmark. So remember, for me, I was like, I knew one of the indicators for me for getting love was like being an being Indiana Jones, being good at physics, and making an impressive amount of money at that point, which was the benchmark was $1 million. So I felt pretty uh, happy with myself. But no, I felt felt as bad as about myself as I ever did, because my dad still didn't love me, or still didn't say he was proud of me. Like, nothing about that relationship or the vibe that I got from the guy ever changed. I want to take a little detour here. My mum, who I don't really like either, because she always promised to divorce the guy and never did. She has a little half joke. She likes to say that she thinks she has that she thinks my dad has um, Asperger's. Now, I don't know a lot about Asperger's, but basically what she's trying to say is that, like, maybe the guy's incapable. He definitely has no social skills, but maybe incapable of loving or really making anyone feel love. So whatever. It's not a blame. This story is not a story of blame from me against another person. It's a story of this guy and what happened. So I chucked that business in. So I had a business that was making $350,000 a year, and when I saw that didn't get me what I needed, I destroyed it, and I went back to university to try again. So money didn't um, get me love. What about this physics thing? My dad loves physics, right? So I went back to university and I got accepted. Like I started from the very beginning doing like first year undergraduate, it's called, um, up to getting accepted to do a PhD, which is really hard. And I become a nuclear physicist as well. So if you want a label that you think people who are into physics would admire, or even people who aren't in the street, that sounds cool. How about nuclear physicist? Didn't work. Still couldn't get the chicks. My dad still behaved. I don't know how he genuinely feels, but still behaved like he didn't give a fuck. So I chucked that in. What was next? Money didn't work. Physics didn't work. Indiana Jones. Now, I think if you were to be a real Indiana Jones, let's face it, like, I hope everyone's seen Indiana Jones. The guy would be traumatized as fuck. Okay. I don't think no one has ever been a real life Indiana Jones, not really, or nearly being killed. Now, we're not talking about movie killed, we're talking about actual killed. Like, there's a big difference between portraying being killed and killing in a movie and actually doing it. People trying to kill him, watching his friends around him die, and actually killing people. Do you remember that scene in the one Temple of Doom where one of his opponents is a big guy with a whip and cold as fuck? Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him, kills him. Indiana Jones is a killer, okay? Now, and was captured and went did all these stunts, right? Now, that's not easy. That's scary. So I become addicted to drugs before I set off overseas on this to become this Indiana Jones type figure. And no shit, people know now that my Indiana Jones story is one of drugs, sex, and going to jail. I'm not sorry, but that's about as close as I could get to it. Okay, I'm not going to become an archaeologist and go off hunting for treasure, though. I wish I could sit here and tell you that that's what I did. So basically, I became addicted to meth. Hey, I could add a fourth list onto fourth thing onto this list of things I think could get my dad to love me. My dad was was always smoking weed as well, and I feel like I got this picture of like from the gangster movies that I turned to, and that drugs are kind of cool. So I did also have this back pocket cool idea that if I did all the drugs and was this kind of druggy superhero, um, that I might get the chicks as well as I might get love from my dad. So anyway, I became addicted to meth and blah blah blah. Um, Ended up hopping on a plane and decided to move to Thailand. Um, it's basically a story of me uh, driving around doing stunts on my motorbike, um, making friends with gangsters. That's kind of cool. So hanging out with gangsters. This is not cool. Like I feel like I'm going to you'll know the things that I tell you guys that I actually find personally shameful, but decide to reveal for you because I'll let you know I also think it's shameful having sex with a different prostitute every night, picking up a different girl at a bar. But hey, remember what I told you earlier about um, me not feeling loved and or having feeling worthy or having value as a person. I always did when a pretty girl told me that she loved me or said that she would have sex with me. So hey, I kind of felt like now, in a way, taking a different pretty girl home from the bar, yeah, sure, I had to give her money at the end of the night, but I felt like this is as close to actually what I deserve. Now, like, I feel like I'm get why aren't beautiful women telling me they lining up to tell me they love me and tell me, do not I not have any value as a person? Now point out the faults in that if you like, I invite you, I do it myself. But that's who I not was, that's who I am. That's something that I learned is so ingrained. I don't have value unless beautiful women, very, very beautiful women, are lined up to tell me they desire me and want to have sex with me for free, by the way, just because I'm so good looking and cool. Now, this was as close as I could get. I felt like I still do. The world owes me that. Okay. But at least I'm using the thing, all that money that I'd saved up. Isn't that some kind of recognition? But I still felt empty, of course. I felt hurt. Like sometimes, okay, shame moment coming up. A couple of times I cried in the morning having to pay these when the women still insisted for money for the very, very good sex that I gave to them. I cried like a little baby because I thought, every time I thought, maybe this time she won't ask me for money and she'll let me know, don't worry, you do have value as a person, little boy whose dad never loved you. Isn't this fun? Of course, I don't want money from you. Of course, how good you are at having sex with me and how cool, you know, you are is enough. That never happened, and I cried a couple of times. So, um, oh, by the way, which brings me to the part where I get arrested in Thailand quite a few times. So I had a couple of run-ins from with the police, all pretty cool stories. I have to save all of them for different moments because, to be honest, it's just if I follow every rabbit hole, it's endless, and I could spend the rest of my life telling you guys fucked up stories or fucked up shit that I did. So let me just cut to some highlights. Um, I had sex with three hookers one time. Don't think that I'm. What was I going to say? I was going to don't think I'm cool, guy. Not everyone's thinking. No one thinks that you paid for it. Okay. Um, but one, it's a guy thing. Two, it connects with what I was telling you, my flaw I had before about my desire to just feel loved in whatever fucked up way I could. But three's too many, and I didn't get to have sex with one of the girls. So shame moment coming up. I paid her money to be my permanent girlfriend, and when that went sour and I kicked her out of the house, I felt ripped off. I went back to that um, brothel after a night being fucked up. By the way, we're talking about in a series of years of me spending every night fucked up. I went back to that brothel. I broke into it. This is a shit ass brothel in a poor third world country. They don't have a bathroom. They bathe and flush the toilet out of a big tank of water. I pushed that tank of water over, flooded the building. These hookers went out screaming. This is the not funny version of this story. Blah, blah, blah. Fighting ensued. I got arrested and I went to jail for the first time. In jail, I got knocked out. It was a pretty grim week. I spent a week in there locked up trying to get a fake half friend of mine to find a wallet of mine that I'd stashed before breaking into the brothel so he could get the cash out to pay the cops because the cops were threatening to send me to prison in Bangkok. Very scary. I was texting to my parents and family, friends to help me. By the way, this happened quite a few times while I was fucked up, losing my wallet, having no money from spending it on drugs, getting in fights, getting in dangerous situations. I'm just going to cover it with a broad stroke like this. My parents back home and brother and sister never helped me because I was on drugs. Something I'm still very angry about because right now I have a job where I specifically set out, I go into the street, find people on drugs to help them. It's a paid government job I do, not just something I do for a hobby because of the resentment I feel towards them. And it is resentment. Anyway, so I go to jail, get out before they send me to Bangkok, and don't learn by lesson, straight back on the drugs, the sex, the motorbike, stunts, etc. And I get arrested again. This time, oh, this is such a cool story. Okay. So there's a couple of moments where I lost my motorbike. Sometimes my motorbike was being confiscated / stolen. The police are corrupt, by the way, in Thailand. Sometimes stolen by the police, sometimes by my drug dealer. So one time, I knew the cops weren't giving my motorbike back. So I broke into the police station and I stole a bike from them. I then used that bike, and a couple of days later, I rode to the airport. Oh, I had lost my wallet and the police refused to help me to find it. So I rode to the airport and I said, the bike that I saw, I said to the people at the airport, I said, but I was stranded on this island, hungry and starving, by the way, at that point, because I had no money. I said, you have to give me a ticket to get out of here. Stuck on a fucking island. There's no embassy or anything, and the cops are corrupt. They know me and they will not help. Literally stuck on an island. I said to the lady at the airport, I said, you have to give me a ticket to get off this fucking island. She called the cops. The cops came to the airport. They said, what are you doing? I said, you know what I'm doing. You didn't help me find my wallet. I told you I'm stuck on your fucking corrupt island. They said, give us your passport. I said, the passport's the only thing I had. I will not give you my passport. I said, you give me your gun. So I reached out to grab the guy's gun. It is very lucky for me, I think, at that point, he saw that I hadn't slept for a couple of days and was not of any real threat. So instead of shooting me, he just took a step back and said no. And so he said, very lucky, he said, go home and sleep. How about help me give my wallet? Kind? Little bit. How about help me get my wallet back? Anyway, so I rode that bike that I stole back home. Then a couple of days later, I thought, this is still fucked. Can I at least get... By the way, the bike that I stole from the cops was not a cop bike. I can't get away with riding a cop's bike around the island. I'm white. And it was a shitty little moped. I thought, this is fucked. I want my cool bike back. So I rode my shitty little moped that I stole to the police station in the middle of the night. I broke in there for the second time. I cut the barbed wire around at the top of the fence that surrounds the police station and climbed over the wall. And my bike was locked up. So I broke into the building itself to look for the keys. I couldn't find the keys. I had to back out of the police station again. Had to break out into a mechanic store to steal bolt cutters. Took those bolt cutters back to cut the chain on my bike. Rode my bike out of the the police station. But I wasn't done with my funny little payback yet. I stole a policeman's helmet and put that on and rode that home. But to be honest, that was very funny. Well, it wasn't funny at the time. It was very, very dangerous. And I was scared. That's a scary thing to do. But I was desperate. I had no choice. It was either that or die in the street. That's not why I went to jail. I got away with that crime. Not really a crime when I feel like your hand is forced like that. I still don't have money. So a couple of days later, I go to. Now, I'm not a bad guy. By the way, I'm aware that I half start sentences, stop them, skip one, and then go to the next. So I needed a couple of things. I needed food, but I needed petrol for my bike. Remember, now I have no cash, have no real friends on this island. I only know gangsters and drug dealers and prostitutes. So I thought it is only fair to take, I don't feel like it's stealing, but to take petrol from my drug dealer, who I've already bought thousands of dollars worth of drugs from, and is in fact also corrupt. And what do you call that? I know she paid the police to sell drugs and do her crimes. So I'll take $1 worth of petrol. So I'd ride there, take $1 worth of petrol. The petrol's in a whiskey bottle. This might sound odd to you, but the petrol is in a whiskey bottle outside the front of her massage parlor. That's how we're in a shit little Thailand village. So if some of this sounds odd and like it doesn't make sense, then just that's why. She comes out, she tries to grab the keys for my bike. I say no right away to town. Now I go to another massage parlor. A lot of massage parlors involved in this because I'm only buying drugs and having sex with hookers. So, but I know where they have a kitchen where I can get some rice. Okay, I'm not going to steal a 3-course meal. I'm going to take rice. So I go there. I'm cooking rice in this kitchen in a massage parlor. The cops come up, tap on the window. I can't run. There is no fire escape. So I have to go out to the outside to talk to them. What happened then? So there's 2 cops there. We happen to be out at the front of my favorite bar that I've been going to every night to pick up these different girls I talk to you about, drink and play pool. We happened to be out the front of that bar. They said, "Did you take petrol?" Very odd. I mean, they just saw me kind of like stealing rice, but they're on their stealing petrol thing because my drug dealer's out for cash. So they have this thing in Thailand. If you're a corrupt drug dealer who pays the police, you can go to the police, tell them about a crime like this, arrest the guy, let's extort him for more cash to get him to pay to get out. They say, "Did you steal some petrol?" I said, "Yeah, it's from that drug dealer that pays you so she can sell drugs and extort cash from me." I don't know. I'm not that fast on my feet thinking, but I do know how to just straight up hit people with the truth. I'm like, what the fuck are you? You have got to be kidding, claiming. Because the premise is that they are legitimate police and they're doing some kind of good. Now, I know they don't give a fuck about me pointing that incongruity out to them. But that's all I have. And I'm tired at that moment. And so they say, "Well, then we got to take you to jail." Now, at this point, I am very actually scared to go back to jail. Jail sucks. Scared the first time. At this point, I'm still scared. Talk about hitting people with the truth. Now, take you back to the start of this story. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not one of these dumb kids that just shouts out shit in class. I can't get off just telling them the truth or being real and like not pleading, but like just hitting people with truth and what's good and what's right. So all I do is say to them, well, that's not right. I don't deserve to go to jail. And I announce the fact. I said to them, well, then I am going to run away. And in that moment, I start to run away. Now, in my mind, I'm like, and you just picked up on that, right? That that I just laid down the truth with you that I'm well within my rights to run away because it is not fair for me to go to jail. Didn't stop them from chasing me, and didn't stop me from. Now, look, I'm a very good. I'm shame moment coming up. I don't think this connects to getting love from my dad, but I happened to be a very, very fast sprinter in high school. But when I've been smoking meth for years and up for nights and wearing my thongs, basically I did fall over in the street. And the cops piled on and I couldn't get away. And lucky for me, they don't add any charges on you for resisting arrest. Fucking third world country. I mean, don't tell the police in Thailand that over here we charge people extra charges for resisting arrest, because I wouldn't have deserved that and probably would have got a longer sentence. Anyway, so back to jail for me. What I said about being scared earlier was a lot more comfortable the second time. And I knew I was going to prison. So they tried to extort me for more cash. They said, are you guys fucking retarded? I said, do you remember all the story? I keep spelling it out, like, out for you guys. Like, how absurd it is for you to come accuse, like, charging me with stealing $1 worth of petrol from the drug dealer that you work with, because you wouldn't help me find my wallet that was stolen, because you knew that one day I'll have to do a crime so you can extort for me for more cash. I don't give a fuck about any of that. And they're retarded because they let you sit in a cell for a week thinking you're going to come up with this cash after all of this. So I sit in that cell for a week. Knowing my fate is sealed, they keep thinking I'm going to magic up some funds. But by the way, this is why they do it, because they only do it in order for you to magic up some funds for them. They don't give a fuck about enforcing the law. So I guess in their book, it's worth it. Anyway, long story short, I went to jail. It's important for me to distinguish between jail and prison, because jail is, by the way, very, very horrible, black, dark cell crammed with 40 people, lock up at the police station. There's a horror story for you. The prison is the big one, okay? Jail is the little horrible version of hell. Prison is the big one. So after jail, they'll take you to the big one, because you can't pay to get out. Now, guys, we got about 5 minutes left in this story. I've gotten a little bit excited. This is a story of a child trying to learn his father's love. First with, what was it? Money that didn't work. Second with physics. And the second with trying to become an international adventurer. We're going to have to skip a lot of those international adventures, not because I don't want to tell you, because I really do. Because if no other value, if they didn't get my father's love, I hope, it's probably clear. I don't hope it is, but it is probably clear that it has created a kind of little attention seeker that hopes to receive feelings like love and validation from strangers. So if this weird stuff that I put myself through has any value, it's that. So I do want to tell you guys these stories, but I'm going to have to bring it home. So we're going to have to skip a lot of those adventures and bring us to where? I'm getting out of prison wasn't the end of my story. I went back to Bali and all the stuff the stuff that I did in Thailand, I repeated again in Bali, but it got much worse. So look forward to that. Um, and and then after those adventures, I sobered up because I had no choice, and I came back to Australia because I had no choice, and it was pretty. That was really my lowest moment. I had no more things to try now. The money, the genius thing, the adventures didn't work. Wasn't surrounded with hot babes. My dad still didn't give a fuck. If anything, I was more traumatized by um, uh, feeling basically being abandoned when all this stuff I was telling you about. I asked for help and was denied it. Now, sure, you can go, well, you were on drugs, you don't help people on drugs. Sure, I don't care if you feel that way. That's cool. I'm talking about the emotional experience that I went through. I'm in Australia now. Um, I don't give a fuck now what my dad thinks or feels towards me. I still do want to get the adoration of strangers, particularly beautiful women. I hope that I'm coming back to my roots. I feel like I think that I was born. I don't think I was born to be an international gangster, bad boy, genius, a physicist, or billionaire. I think I was born a happy, funny, playful baby. Um, Now I'm trying to do comedy. Being funny and silly was one of the things that my dad tried to beat out of me. So I hope that he doesn't like that I'm trying to do this. I still haven't been able to work through my need for the adoration of thousands of beautiful women. So if you're one of them, please hit me up. Look, I wasn't that handsome before the years spent not sleeping and smoking meth, which has added a few wrinkles to my face and maybe given me this fucked up, kind of disjointed, weird way of talking. That's just who I am now. But if that's your thing, write in. Help me make Jim Brent jealous. God, is that what we've learnt? I hope there's more than that. So stay tuned. I hope you've liked this episode. I hope that I've liked this episode. And I hope that Jim will be back with me next week. That's real talk. That is real talk. Bye.
Oh, real talk.
Oh. Ready? Oh, let's go. Real talk.
That was real talk.